Hello, I am Safwan. Today I'm going to present about plausible scenario of the biomass industry. This study talks about biomass in pulp and paper industry, pastel analysis of future trends and drives. It explains macro environmental factors, development of the scenario across. It explains micro environmental factors, scenario grid, scenario framework, and it explains plausible scenario which suits the company the most in the end. Moving to the first slide, biomass is one of the renewable energies comes from plant and animal, which is the largest source in the most of the countries. It creates numerous energies of biomass as waste. It depends on the level of technology, quality of paper and pulp, and quality of wood. This waste is produced at all stages of the process. Wood groundwork, pulp and paper production, chemical reposition, used paper treatment, wastewater handling, energy reclamation from the waste of diverse origins has become a usually recognized substitute to their dumping. Commercializing these new technologies can provide higher efficiency, lower capital cost, and safer operations than traditional operations that burn fossil fuels for energy. The advantages of incineration, called rapid oxidation of waste with energy recovery, are hygienic recovery, volume reduction, and heat energy recovery using steam or superheated water, which can be recycled for heating and electricity. China is one of the leading paper industries in the world, and at the same time, the USA is leading in the pulp industry. In addition to that, Germany, Japan, and France also have the largest paper and pulp industries. This is one of the growing industries which is expected to reach a value of more than 370 billion in the next 10 to 15 years in the biomass sector. In this slide, biomass sectors such as paper, pulp industries, future trend, and drives can be analyzed through pastel strategic tools. Or in the other way, these are macro environmental factors. Political is a vital role in defining factors that can influence the long-term profitability of an industry in a particular market. This industry can carefully consider the following factors before entering or investing in a particular market, which may be a positive or negative or uncertainty of the industry, such as stability of politics, war, corruption, bureaucracy, and intervention by the government, regulations of trade and industry. In economic factors such as inflation, savings, interest rate, exchange rate, and economic cycle determine the total demand and combined investments in the economy. Economic factors that the biomass practicing industries must consider when conducting a pastoral analysis, and which may be a positive or negative uncertainty of the industry, such as quality of infrastructure, currency exchange rate, and the stability of the host country's currency, the stage of the business cycle, the rate of economic growth, the level of education in the economy, and labor cost. In the social factors, the culture and lifestyle of a community affects the culture of organizations in its environment. The beliefs and attitude of the general public plays a great part in biomass industries such as the pulp and paper industry, and will understand the customers of this market and how the progress a marketing idea to the industry's clients. Social factors that industry management must analyze, which may be a positive or negative on certain of the industry, such as hierarchy and structure of power in society, demographics and skills levels of the people, and levels of education and the educational background. In the technological factor, this industry has to do not only analyze the technology, but also the rapidity with which technology interrupts the industry. Low rapidity will give you more time, while high-speed technological disruption can give your business some time to deal with and make a profit. Technology analysis contains the understanding of the following effects, which may be positive or negative or uncertain of the industry, such as future and present technological developments by the competitors, cost structure impacts, and value chain impacts. In the environmental factors, before starting new activities in the market, the company must sensibly assess the environmental values required to function in these markets. Some environmental factors to consider in the advance, which may be positive or negative or uncertain of the industry, such as weather, climate, waste management, environmentally friendly products. In the legal factors to avoid unwanted theft of organization secret sources before entering into the market, this industry and management needs to consider the following areas, which may be a positive or negative uncertainty of the industry, such as intellectual property law, protections of data, employment, health and safety laws. In this slide, out of other environmental factors such as competitors, sustainability, resource usage, that means efficiency, and customers, biomass energy practicing industries' future scenarios can be analyzed from two key areas out of the above analyzed trends and drives, and also it's a key area that is common and which includes other two factors. Those are sustainability and resource usage. When it comes to sustainability, biomass is measured as carbon neutral. Burning fossil fuels issues carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases, deceiving heat in the atmosphere. These energy sources have more damaging effects, ranging from air and water pollution to global warming. And this dimension helps to develop in such a way that in the next 10 to 20 years, practicing biomass industries such as the pulp and paper industries will realize the considerable potential for the manufacture of sustainable products and materials. When it comes to the resource usage, it helps to develop a full life cycle analysis approach and calculates industry energy efficiency by monitoring all the energy inputs and outputs. Fast growing trees are easy to plant and harvest and an important alternative to fossil fuels for supplying electricity and heat from the waste. However, there are uncertainties as to how energy efficient and climate friendly biomass is as a fuel. In this slide, it explains about the scenario grid, which explains the future plausible scenarios in the next 10 to 20 years. Under scenario one, it calls the dry land. It's about how to generate 100% biogas from garbage, brings high sustainability, and is of low resource usage to environment in the next 10 to 20 years. Next, under scenario two, called the promised land, it explains about how to use 100% electricity and heat for the building and all functions by using wood, and this would create high sustainability and high resource usage in the next 15 to 20 years. Next, under scenario three, calls the abandoned land. It describes where we can make 100% biogas from animal waste, and this in return causes low sustainability and is of low usage resource in the next 15 to 20 years. Finally, under scenario four, it calls the wetland. It's about the usage of 100% biofuel for the vehicles. There would be low sustainability and high resource usage in the next 10 to 20 years. In this slide, it talks about scenario framework. Under scenario one, it calls the dry land, is about generating 100% biogas from the garbage to all rural areas. We can take examples of agriculture waste and wood waste to produce biomass. America is one of the countries known for generating scenarios regarding biogas from the garbage. This is accessible to everybody, including families in the surrounding area, farms, municipalities, and many ways it helps. People in rural areas will even experience warm water baths and street lights, electricity everywhere within the next 10 to 15 years. From the understanding of the scenario grid, conversion of garbage waste to biogas through the use of more resources is a strategy that can contribute to the low goals of sustainable development. Current factors limiting the sector's growth include technical and adaptation challenges, lack of awareness in many areas, and unsupported policy tools that could hinder biogas adoption. Under scenario 2, it calls the promised land. It's about generating 100% electricity and heat for the building and all the functions by wood. We can take examples of agricultural remains, wood trashes from forestry and industry to produce biomass. Industrial implementation of these new technologies have the potential for greater resource utilization and greater sustainability. Many biomass, like paper mills, generate more than half of the energy requirements from biomass fuels obtained from solid waste and process streams. This is one of the plausible scenarios that makes sense for the next 10 to 15 years. It is also operational. China is one of the main countries that practices this method. This helps produce more black liquor to cover future electricity shortage for the entire region. Under scenario 3, it calls the abundant land. It's about generating 100% biogas from animal waste to all the regions. We can take examples of animal waste or dung to produce biomass. India is one of the countries known for generating scenarios regarding biogas from the animal. This is not that easy to accessible to everybody. This is quite challengeable from country to country with their cultures. People can cut down the greenhouse gas emission from methane within the next 10 to 15 years. From the understanding of the scenario grid, conversion of animal waste to biogas through the use of low resources is a strategy that can contribute to the low goals of sustainable developments. Current factors limiting this sector's growth include technical and adaptation challenges, lack of awareness in many areas, and unsupported policy tools that could hinder biogas adoption as well. Under scenario 4, it calls the wetland, is about choosing 100% biofuel for all the vehicles in the next 10 to 20 years. This is challenging enough as it becomes clear that things like wood, sawdust, leaves, and even dried animals manure all biofuels. It is not only sustainable, it is a greater and cleaner option that can be expected to use in all the engines without modification in the future. The United States and Brazil are expecting to make a new revolution in this automobile sector with these biomass activities in the next 10 to 15 years. From the understanding of the scenario grid, conversion of biofuel through the use of low resources is a strategy that can contribute to the higher goals of sustainable development. In this slide, according to all four scenarios, scenario called the promised land, which describes generating 100% electricity and heat for the building and all the functions by wood, are identified as the most plausible scenario which can be achievable in the next 10 to 20 years. Wood fuel has numerous environmental benefits throughout fossil fuels. The main benefit is that wood is a renewable resource, proposing a sustainable and reliable supply. Wood fuel holds small amounts of sulfur and heavy metals. It is not a threat to acid rain pollution, and particulate emissions can be controlled. This is one of the reasons to be a plausible scenario which can produce electricity and heat for much needed countries and regions. The main economic benefits of wood biomass energy is the wood is generally much cheaper than fossil fuels. Public establishments such as schools, hospitals, prisons, and municipal regions heating developments projects are the key goals for energy use from wood biomass in the next 10 to 15 years. The technology produced energy from wood is about to enter the new era, which almost limitless potentials and future systems will be able to use numerous waste remains. The procedure of wood sludge as a fuel from organic waste for energy production has newly been considered in the biomass industries such as the paper and pulp industries. Due to their low reheating value, sludge must be co-fuel with fuels having a higher reheating value, such as wood remains mud impairs its capability to blaze efficiently. Wood biomass will be an appreciated energy source for many reasons in the next 10 to 15 years. It is easily separable from the waste stream, relatively standardized, and largely free of non-contagious resources. Requires minimal maintenance of blaze. Its reheating value is quite high. It has a manageable sulfur content and manageable nitrogen oxide emissions. The sector will be shown increasing interest in this topic. This scenario shows plausible activities with high sustainability, with high resource usage, with efficiency. And also, it brings a new era to the world where every human being can get all the facilities and essentials, such as electricity, through this scenario called the promised land in the next 10 to 50 years. Thank you.